G'day there guys, it's your Aussie Hubby Markee, back at it again with another r/revenge video. Now if you love me like I love you, then you know what to do. I want you to tackle that bloody like button like Steve Owen and his bloody crocodiles. Now with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chug a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good revenge stories. Our first post is by user Yasmin Lee 1224, titled, "Mother lies, takes my money from me, then gets screwed over financially." Backstory. So I'm 19, female, and had only been living with my mother for a good 3.5 years. Was put into foster care at a young age and don't remember living with my mother at all. Before moving in with her, she would tell me how great it would be for me to live there and how I would be treated with respect and yada yada yada. Well, since I started college, things went to crap. My whole life, I wanted to go to college for art. But my mother convinced me that it was stupid, so I chose to go to a business degree. I got into my state's business and marketing honor society during my last year of high school for having a 98 average in all 5 of my business classes. My first semester of college, everything started out fine. Then the end of September hit and I got a reimbursement from financial aid. Let me add, my mother is on SSI for minor disabilities and hasn't worked in the past 18 years. She has arthritis and fibromyalgia, so apparently she can't work. I got public assistance that I never knew about since I was never allowed to do paperwork for anything. I thought we only got food stamps, but apparently she lied and said I was paying a couple $100 for rent so she could get more money. So, she was getting nearly $500 a month for my needs. I never got anything unless it was Christmas, and $350 a month for food stamps. My boyfriend had to buy me food because I was never allowed to eat at home and didn't want to get a $3,000 meal plan on campus. Anyways, I got a healthy $2,000 back from financial aid, which I originally planned on spending on clothes. I hadn't had a pair of fitting jeans since I lived with my mother, a laptop for school, and food. Well, apparently every time I get money, it belongs to my mother. She demanded I give her most of the money, so I spent $1,500 on some jeans for me and a brand new PS4 system, PS Vita, PS Plus, and a bunch of PS4 games for my boyfriend. I know that sounds reckless of me, but he's paid me back for it. She was ticked and belittled me till I gave her the rest of the money for rent and bills and food. She went off and bought her boyfriend drugs. I was mad because obviously that's just not okay. I just pushed through the semester and kinda sucked it up like I usually do. February came along and pretty much the same thing happened. She demanded my $3,000. I got more this past semester because I only had to pay for one textbook to pay for rent, electricity, the Wi-Fi, food, and everything under the sun. She got mad when I refused to give her more than $350. I went off and spent the money on my anniversary, including outfit, gas, 2 meals, and some gifts. A new phone, my phone barely worked and was 7 years old, and prepaid my phone plan for the next few months. I also bought myself some food for when I was home. She was irate. How dare I spend my money on my boyfriend and not the woman who birthed me? I tried staying away from home as much as possible, driving around with my boyfriend for the most part, but every time I came home I would get yelled at. Well, March was when crap hit the fan. I needed my Medicaid card, they put cash assistance on that card for convenience, and birth certificate for a program that helps people get jobs in the area, and she wasn't having it. Apparently saying I needed them was being rude and disrespectful. I ignored her for the most part and kept insisting that I needed them right away because I had to leave. She gave them to me after half an hour of me telling her I needed to leave and just started yelling at me. So I left for a few hours and I got a call from my caseworker asking when I would turn in the timesheets. I had to get a signature from each teacher stating I was in class to help keep my insurance benefits and food stamps. I didn't know about the cash assistance, and she told me I could lose the cash assistance if I didn't. I asked her what she was talking about, and she told me I got approximately $500 a month to pay for rent and other things I needed. I informed her that I never knew about that, and she was very upset that my mother was using the money on God knows what. She told me to change the pin on my card and not to let my mother touch it. So, I changed the pin on my card, went home, and my room was torn up. My clothes were everywhere, and my old laptop was missing. My Christmas gifts from my boyfriend were gone, and I was very upset. I told my mother that I just wanted my stuff back, and she just threw everything at my door. I started packing my bags because I was done with her garbage. She demanded I give her my Medicaid card back since she keeps everyone else's. She got in my face, threw my glasses onto the floor, tried throwing my new phone, and was just screaming at me till I gave it to her. I have post-traumatic stress disorder, so I panic when someone is even slightly loud. After she went to the store and tried buying something with it, she came home and started shoving me around, demanding I give her the pin. I was just like my father. I was a piece of garbage for buying jeans that actually fit me for once in my life. I was trash for liking the presents I got from my boyfriend and not for her. I got pants that were 2 sizes too big and very low rise for Christmas. Yeah, no, etc., etc. She actually hit me because of it, and hit me till I gave her my pin. So of course, I was dumb and gave it to her. Someone, for some reason, called the cops, and they showed up shortly after, and her boyfriend started yelling at them that I was abusive and manipulative and a pathological liar. I showed them where she hit me, and tried explaining that she took my Medicaid card, but they didn't care. The cops never care because supposedly my mum's boyfriend has put half our local police force into the hospital. After the cops left, my mother said that my boyfriend, who has done nothing wrong and has only been supportive of me through this, was a pedophile. I'm a year older than him. And that he was not allowed to enter the house again. Then she said I had a new curfew of 6 p.m. I had a class that ended at 5, and it took me 2 hours to walk home, so that was stupid. And if I left the house, I was to never return. So I left. My boyfriend took me to a homeless shelter specifically for teens and young adults that were in abusive situations and had nowhere else to go. I got my own apartment, with the potential of getting a roommate at some point, and I honestly have never felt better in my life. The following day, I go to get a new card, and my mother had taken out $260 at 5 a.m. with the help of my older sister. I had $4 to buy food for 2 weeks before I could apply for my own food stamps and cash assistance case. Most of the time, I only had water, and I would eat every 3 days at my boyfriend's house. When the virus hit, his dad refused to let me over, even though he knew what was going on, to a certain extent. I didn't eat anything for a week before being able to get food stamps. I wish I had gotten a job, but having 8 classes, one of which was 6 hours a week for a measly 1 credit, took up the majority of my time. The college suggested I withdraw to focus on my mental health. I was afraid of leaving my new place because I didn't want to be attacked by my family or my mum's boyfriend's drug addict friends. I went from seeing my therapist for half an hour every other week to seeing her for an hour every week. She suggested that I cut contact with my mother permanently, even though it meant losing a good $3,000 worth of stuff I bought for myself over the past 12 years. I got paid to babysit and take care of the farm while in foster care. I was so upset about losing all 40 of my stuffed animals. They really meant a lot to me and were the only things there that helped me calm down from a panic attack. I know it sounds immature, but I've had most of them since I was about 8 years old. Then something popped in my head while I was applying for my own food stamps and cash assistance case. The revenge. I realized that I could easily report my mother for welfare fraud. Not only had she been taking my $500 a month, but she had lied and said her boyfriend and her didn't share food and were roommates. She paid to use other people's food stamps, and she has sold her food stamps for cash to buy fast food or drugs. So I did just that. I went to our state's website and reported her for fraud, adding when she took the money from my card at 5 a.m. that one day. I went into detail, gave the exact location of where she did it and everything. I said she used other people's cards all the time, which was very true, and how she demanded my card whenever I had it. A couple weeks later, I get a letter from the Department of Social Services. They accidentally sent it to my address instead of my mum's, thinking she moved along with me. I opened it and read that she was denied public assistance, denied medical insurance, and denied food stamps. She met the requirements for getting them, but because of my report, she lost everything but SSI, as far as I know. What probably helped was that I told the DSS she stole my card and requested a new one, and the lady at the front desk was mortified. I found out she took the money out later when I was setting up the card online and saw all previous transactions for the past year. She's out $850 a month, more than her SSI and out of health insurance, which was paid for by the state, all because of me, and I boasted about it to my therapist. My therapist actually congratulated me because I'm very shy with people, so to report something like that was very unlikely of me unless you got me very angry. Not sure if this was appropriate here, but it took a lot out of me to even be able to do it. Thanks, anxiety. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that post. Our next one is by user CyberChief, titled, "When trying to get your deposit back from your landlord is like drawing blood from a stone." Back in 2018, I had a temporary internship in California at insert large tech company. So I took a recommendation from a friend about a room for rent. It would be living with 5 other people, but otherwise it looked fantastic with spacious common areas, multiple huge TVs, full amenities, community rec center with pool, short drive times to multiple places of interest, and all for $650 a month, utilities included. I contacted the landlord I will refer to as Crappy Landlord, and he seemed fine on the phone. So, I sent him my security deposit to move in a month later. When it came time to move in, I discovered a few caveats that came with this low rent price. The common areas were all dusty, none of the large TVs worked properly. If we wanted access to the rec room and center and pool, we would need to pay the $80 per month membership fee, and all of the short drive times estimated were exaggerated, unless you were speeding at 2 times the normal speed limit. Whatever, it's not the end of the world, especially at the relatively low price. I will survive. But then it got worse in the coming months. Crappy Landlord decided to charge us an extra $20 a month for paper towels and public cleaning supplies. Crappy Landlord only checked the community mailbox once a week when he was in town and refused to trust anybody with the mailbox key. As it starts to roll into the summer, in June, Crappy Landlord decided that aircon cost too much, and we were using too much, so he removed the thermostat from the wall. Okay? One day, some of us tenants confronted him when he was at the house, since Crappy Landlord also slept at the house about 1 day a week, and I'll never forget his words as he rushed out of the house. "It's legal for me to do it, and I don't care since I don't have to live here." Well, sir, screw you. I'm tilted as all hell at this guy's obvious money grab from 6 tenants. Well, it turns out he's right. He legally doesn't need to provide air conditioning, so the next day I purchased a high-end BTU, freestanding portable air conditioner that exhausts out the window. Holy crap, this thing was luxury. Of course, I pumped my room to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, the lowest setting. We have a couple other minor disagreements that wind up with Crappy Landlord texting me that it's fine if I want to break the lease and move out early. Perfect. When Crappy Landlord finally gets a whiff of my aircon setup, he comes to my room to complain about my aircon unit. I reply curtly, "It's legal for me to do it, and I don't care, since I don't have to pay for electricity." He leaves later and sends me a text. It basically is telling him that he needs to remove the AC unit from the room and pay an extra $100 per month from the time that he installed the AC unit. Screw that guy. Yeah, okay. Unbeknownst to Crappy Landlord, I'm taking his move-out offer seriously, and this whole time, I've been rallying the troops. All the tenants have been very upset about everyone's living situation, so with some minor encouragement, I managed to convince 2 of the other 6 tenants to move out at the same time as me. They were on a month-to-month arrangement, and I finally submit all of our notices of intent to vacate at the same time, barely a week after my previous conversation with Crappy Landlord. He's ticked. He was just trying to get me out of the house, but now he has 3 rooms to fill instead of just 1. I ask about my legally mandated pre-move-out inspection. In no uncertain terms, he told me to go screw myself. He said he's too busy to perform an inspection. Well, that's illegal, but okay. Time comes to move out. I found another room for rent much closer to the office for only $100 a month more. We all move out and I text crappy landlord about my security deposit. No response. I text again, no response. Okay, I see where this is going. I spend days and days reading the law, compiling evidence and screenshots, and listing the laws that were broken. The smoking gun was the statute that requires a pre-move-out inspection, and a list of things to fix, and itemized list of deductions within 21 days, or else crappy landlord loses the right to withhold any of my deposit. In addition, he would be subject to treble damages if he's found to be acting in bad faith. I text again and again. Holy crap, that's a long text message. It's basically just repeating what was said just before. I give him plenty of leniency, and I even cite laws so I can prove in court that I'm acting in good faith. And crappy landlord intentionally ignored the laws that I made him aware about. Crappy landlord probably thinks I'm a young pushover college student who won't follow through with legal threats. Well, sir, we're going to court because I'm petty as all hell when it comes to people trying to screw me over. I file in small claims for $650 plus treble damages plus court costs. Crappy landlord files a counterclaim for $2,000 for damages to property, claiming I caused flooding and I broke the microwave. Okay, buddy. In response, I gather testimonies from 3 of the other tenants and I build my case into a 40-page packet of evidence, complete with page numbers, a table of contents, and descriptions for every screenshot and photo. I make 3 copies of everything and submit it to the court and the defendant crappy landlord. The court date is set for November, and I leave the state just before Christmas, so just in time to appear in person, since my internship ends and I fly home in December. He starts filing requests to postpone the trial. He cites a doctor's appointment and the motion is granted. Court date is rescheduled for a month later, in December, but still before I fly home. New court date approaches and he files another request to postpone, citing another doctor's appointment. Somehow, that motion is granted as well, and we're rescheduled again to January. Damn, January rolls around, and surprise, surprise, guess who's got another doctor's appointment conveniently on the same exact day of the trial? Denied. The court finally got fed up with his bullcrap and denied the motion because he can't prove he scheduled the doctor's appointment prior to the court date being moved. Well, I'm not in California anymore, I'm across the country on the East Coast. Crappy landlord thinks if I'm no longer in the state, he'll automatically win since I'm not willing to fly back to California. Well, unbeknownst to crappy landlord, California courts offer an option to appear by telephone. Haha. Court day comes and I get the call. I'm sworn in and then connected to the court. I'm given time to present my case. Unfortunately, I didn't prepare a script, so I kinda summarize the events and explain why I deserve money. Then crappy landlord gets time to defend himself and explains his counterclaim. He doesn't prepare anything either, and he ends up rambling about random crap that doesn't help his case at all. For example, he spends a lot of time explaining how another one of the tenants was crappy and so his behavior was justified. He doesn't even have a sliver of evidence for his counterclaim when the judge asks for it. The judge asks a few more questions and announces that he'll review the evidence and will get the decision in the mail. A couple weeks later, I get the judgment, saying I'm owed $650. Crappy landlord gets nothing. Well damn, no treble damages for me. However, it's just my luck that the crappy landlord is a piece of crap that won't accept defeat. He files an appeal for who knows what. It's granted. Redo trial is scheduled for May 10th. This time, I'm 10 times more prepared. Once again, I'm sworn in and then they connect me to the courtroom speaker. This time I have a hashed out script that I read, making sure to emphasize how often I informed crappy landlord of the law, how often crappy landlord knowingly broke the law, and how I offered so much leniency and so many opportunities to do the right thing. Once again, crappy landlord doesn't prepare anything, but instead rambles on so much that even the judge tells him to get back on track multiple times. Crappy landlord claims I caused water damage and had to replace all the carpets. The judge asked for an invoice or a receipt. He has none. Crappy landlord then claims I broke the microwave, so the judge reads him the 3 witness statements that all state I didn't break the microwave. Crappy landlord says they're all lying. He still has no evidence whatsoever. At this point, the judge clearly sounds done with his crap and says we'll get his decision in the mail, and the call ends. A couple weeks later, I get the judgment, and I'm owed $1,800, and crappy landlord still gets nothing. Well damn, would you look at that? His appeal did not quite work out for him. He goes from owing $650 to owing me $1,800. Being the craphead that he is, he files for a mistrial, claiming I was not sworn in and that I lied in my testimony. Denied. Outside of court, crappy landlord offers a payment plan of $20 a month, which will take 7.5 years to pay back, or otherwise, he refuses to pay up. Okay, I see how my collecting money is going to be. I figure out he banks at BOA by looking up checks that I gave him for rent, and seeing where they got cashed. I file for a writ of execution that'll allow me to perform a bank levy. It's granted, so I prepare a packet for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and go to BOA to take his money. LASD serves him with papers and orders BOA to freeze his account. After his allotted time, 30 days, to contest the seizure, LACSD seizes his money, plus 10% APY interest, plus sheriff fees. I finally get the glorious check in the mail. 20 months after moving out, I'll probably frame it. Total $1,893.91. Edit. For everyone telling me to cash the check, I already deposited the money into my bank account via mobile and check depositing. Edit 2. Small claims cases are cheap to file. You'll pay about $50 in most states, and it'll be rare to be as high as $100. Plus, the loser that has to pay you back when you win. Edit 3. Tips for situations like this. Find small claims guides. There's a plethora of helpful informations out there because everybody wants you to win. Even the court wants you to win. At least in California, they offer a free, in-person, small claims advisory clinic, where employees advise you and walk you through the whole process. Make sure you know the whole process and what to expect. Document everything. Have conversations through text or email if possible for easy screenshots. Photograph everything, even if you don't think it's important, because the landlord might just claim you damaged it. Do your research on the law. Know what is legal and illegal, and know the penalties for violations. Compile evidence against your landlord, and cite the laws that they are breaking. The easier you make it for the judge to see that you're right, the more likely that they will side with you. Get supporting witness statements. It changes from case to case, from he said, she said, where the landlord is calling you a liar, to a 4v1, where the landlord has to call everybody a liar. Just don't commit hearsay lol. Have them appear in person, or have them sign and submit a declaration. Follow procedures to the T. Last thing you want is for your evidence to be thrown out, because you didn't send a copy to the defendant at least 10 days before the court date. Come to court prepared, and remember the 7 Ps. Proper planning and preparation prevents poor performance. Judges like people who are on top of their crap. If you come to court unprepared, thinking that you can just talk your way to a win, it will be dead obvious. And don't expect the process to be quick. It'll take a while for your landlord to get their comeuppance, but it'll be worth it. At the end of the day, the court wants you to win. It'll just take a while. Wet Afforestation says, that was amazing. So well written and eloquent. But yeah, karma comes back tenfold, or in your piece of crap landlord's case, threefold, sorry, not treefold, tree law. Way to go sticking it out. I hope he loses his other tenants too. And OP says, thanks, writing was never my strong suit, so that's a very nice compliment. My girlfriend was in the middle of exactly this with the female version of Crappy Landlord in Burbank. We have moved to Portland, and Crappy Landlady has appeared after a number of postponement motions. I hope hers turns out as well as yours does. Also about the story, it was gripping. So many twists. You had me cheering you on. Every so often it felt like you were losing, just to come back and slap him in the face. So yeah, take a poor woman's upvote. Well, I think that's where I'm going to leave today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed our episode of r/pro revenge today. Tell me what you thought about these ones down in the comments below. If you've already heard these stories before, that's unfortunate. But anyway, I hope you had a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. This has been Markee. Hope you're staying safe in quarantine and, nothing too bad is happening in your life. I know nothing too bad is happening in mine, but hey, things get worse and things get better. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!